Hello, everyone. Now, we have a bit of a surprise for you. We are gonna role play the first chapter of the book, which is the introduction. And I've already selected the volunteers. Well, not really volunteers because I asked them to do it. So it's gonna be three people doing this. It's gonna be me playing me. It's gonna be Rachel playing designer, and it's gonna be Jonathan playing the middle-aged white man. Are you ready? Now we're gonna read the introduction together. We're gonna actually role play it. I really want to see some actor skills coming out of this thing. And then we are going to have a conversation about the content of the actual introduction. And then I'll probably share a bit about what the rest of the book is about. Okay, shall we start with that? I'm gonna share screen. Feel free to tell me if you don't see it or if you can't read. Too small? Maybe like this? Can you read it?
I think that works.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna start. So you are the designer that you see the woman with the glasses, okay? I am me. I'm gonna start. 3, 2, 1, ready, go. If you work for a large organization and are a designer, chances are that you have noticed that things often don't make much sense.
Yes, Marzia, it's weird. Individuals around here are so smart, but collectively they look like they don't know what they're doing.
Yes, imaginary designer working for a large corporation. Let me give you an example. The senior leadership team of, enter the name of a big bank of your choice, meet in, enter fancy location of your choice, for a 3-day offsite to decide the strategy of the company going forward. Diversity hires. Middle-aged white man.
Any ideas, anyone? What have you noticed as pressing emerging themes?
Beautiful. Strategy. 5 days later, big bank corporate office, service designer.
We just came back from offsite. It was great. Lots of ideas. We have 3 strategic imperatives for the next 3 years. First is frictionless experience. We don't fully understand what it means, so please take the next 6 weeks to do some research and define it. Thanks.
Stuff like this happen very often. Consumer obsessed, customer centric, client first, service orientation, AI, everything. Planet centric, servitization. Organizations have statements in their strategies they don't fully understand and don't really know how to operationalize.
But why?
Well, for two main reasons. First, the context in which these organizations operate is fluid and rapidly changing. People are usually too busy working on the tiny bit of the puzzle to fully understand the context within which the organization operates and how the business is or is not adapting to it. Second, it is never a one-person job. It's always a collective endeavor. And people don't know how to collaborate across silos. They rarely row in the same direction. Designers help people in organizations make sense of the context in an empathic and holistic way. Their role is also to engage all relevant stakeholders to take people on a journey of change in a collaborative and experimental way. Finally, design is about transformation. It helps develop alternative, desirable futures and visualize them for everyone to understand. If positioned and used strategically, design can be a powerful force to move an organization forward. Design.
Nice, Marzia. Okay, let me recap and see if I got it right.
Sure thing, my friend.
Organizations are often pretty insane places.
Yep.
Lack of understanding of the external internal context and practices that do not foster collaboration and experimentation have to do with this insanity.
That's right.
design can help.
Design can help by making sense of the status quo, seeking meaningful change, and envisioning alternative desirable futures.
Wait, can you tell me a story about how it plays out in practice?
I will tell you 9 stories. These stories have all happened in real life. The characters in these stories are all real leaders, strategically using design to drive change in their respective organizations. They will take us on a trip around the world. The organizations we'll encounter are very different in terms of their sectors and the products and services they deliver. We'll see they portray similar characteristics. They are all large for-profit corporations operating in very complex environments. You can read the stories in any order. I will tell them in the order that makes the most sense to me. Each one has a critical message, the exemplification of a pattern that can be traced across and learned from. I've chosen each story for the message they convey. Depending on the stage at which you are in your career, you might recognize some patterns, but not others. You will see yourself in some stories, while others will feel alien. And that's okay. It's all part of the plan. I invite you to notice the human behind each leader, and that there is no one way to put design at the service of an organization. Most importantly, focus on the outcomes, not on the outputs. That's where the real magic happens. You ready?
Can't wait!
That's it. Thank you very much. Blip, 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 clap, clap, clap. All right, so that's the introduction. And then basically what happens after that, you have 3 parts, the 3 parts that I mentioned before. So the first part is all about making sense of the status quo. And actually I can show you from here. And in that specific section, there are 3 stories. One from Courtney Martin from Australia, who works at Xero. Then there is Thomas Foster from the UK, who works at JP Morgan Chase. And then there is Yaku Tamala from Brazil, who works from DASA, which is one of the largest healthcare organizations in Brazil. And that first part is black and white, because it's all about the past, it's all about the details, it's all about the blueprint, it's all about the understanding of how the organization works, what are the services and products that the organization offers, what are the possibilities to actually enhance and improve the current status quo, basically. So they are the 3 that you see in black and white. Then the second part, and for that I've worked with an illustrator graphic artist based in Argentina, Gustavo. Then the second part is all about seeking change. So it's about how can design help leaders really understand what change is good change. And that one is another 3 stories. Nathalie from the US, actually the story is between France and the US. Then we have Alberta Toranzo in the UK, Vodafone. And then we have Peter Brook from Adidas in Germany. And that is, I worked with a illustrator artist from Italy. Her name is Iris, and that's a bit of a sketchy style, monochrome. So each chapter has 1 dominant color. And then there is the last part, and the last part is another 3 stories, which is about how can we use design to show potential alternative, desirable futures to the organization. Those 3 stories are in full colors, and they tell the story of Harriet Vaklam, who today works at DBS Bank. She's director of design at DBS Bank in Singapore. Back then, she was design director. She had a very complicated title. But the sum is that she was, head of design for AAG, which is one of the largest general insurer in Australia. You have Shani Sandhi, who was a design leader. She still is at IBM in the States. And then you have Tanara, who she's another design leader still from the States, who used to work for Activision Blizzard, which is this mega company that makes gaming. And so I basically tell the stories almost as it is, like a couple of weeks or months in their life, showing what is the actual work entailing, what are the key decisions that I'm making, What are they trying to achieve? What are the hurdles? Where do they fail? But also trying to portray the reality of the life, how their humanity comes into play in whatever they do, like the imposter syndrome, them not believing in themselves, or one of the characters at one point gets breast cancer. What does that mean? She had to be out for like 18 months in a moment of that transformation that was really critical. And so I really try to use this medium of the graphic novel at its maximum to really show the humanity, the personality, all of the stuff that are really difficult to explain with words. And I try to tell the stories at different layers of meaning, and the graphic novel is a perfect medium for that, right? So there is the story that I just read, and then there are a couple of layers below of just looking at the background images and what is happening, or the expressions of the people that you will see in the pictures. And when I wrote this book, I selected about 6 people globally, 3 academics and 3 practitioners to be a book committee for me. So they were basically reading the chapters as I was making them. And I did that because I wanted to have a sense check on whether the stories were actually interesting, because I thought, oh yeah, I was reading, working on a chapter, and as I was working on this chapter, I was laughing, ha ha ha, and I thought it was very funny. But then I thought, maybe it's just me who finds it funny. So I put together this committee, and I was sending the chapters so they could review them. And I had Relitza from Ghana, and I had Kevin from the UK, and Manali from the States, like very diverse types of people doing very different jobs. And one of these meetings that we had, they told me, but what is the red thread? Like, what do we need to take away? And I was very skeptical. I did not want to give the red thread, because each person, depending on their maturity, on their experience, they will pick on very different things. So I have my red thread, but I don't want my red thread to become your red thread. So I didn't put any subtitles on the takeaways that you should. Yeah, I didn't want to do the top 5 things that you should take up to these things and you should replicate in your context, because it never works, right? This is not what it is. Actually, these stories are the proof that there is no one size fits all. There are patterns, but there is no one recipe. And I did not want to give a recipe. And so at the end, I conclude with a chapter where I just share my reflections. So it's the reflections of the things that I think are important to notice, or the things that I carry out of this journey of writing the book, of writing the stories, highlighting that that's mine. And, you might have very different ones, and I would love to hear it, actually. And that's it. That's the story of the book.